Welcome to Ninon Speaks Media Image. I am Ninon de Vere de Rosa. I'm going to be your other host for the next hour. And as I always say, I have an incredible show. But today, the show is all about the King of Diamonds. Now, I don't know how many people know who the King of Diamonds is out there, but we're going to find out pretty shortly. Ninon Speaks Media Image is a platform where I give people, especially in Vegas, a platform to actually see who they are, what they're doing, and what's going on in Vegas, and also give them a place where they can actually present themselves and people can understand what they're doing, how they're doing it, why they're doing it, and the enjoyment, especially in Vegas, of what they give to other people. As we know, Las Vegas is the entertainment place probably of the world. It's got more going on here and more happening here. Well, I have sort of landed on the ground here. I've been here a couple of years, and I'm beginning to really understand it and like it. Now, let's go back over to the King of Diamonds. The King of Diamonds happens to be Rob Garrett. Rob Garrett is an incredible, he's a performer out here, and he's going to tell you all about himself, and I'm going to ask him many, many questions on what's he doing, why is he doing it. He's got the most incredible personality. He's got one of the kindest faces I've ever seen, and I didn't know him, and I just put my hand up and said, "Hi, how are you?" A couple of years ago, or whenever it was, and just an amazing man, very personable, and I can understand why people absolutely love him. So let me introduce Rob Garrett. How are you?
Hi, Ninon. I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah. I'm doing great. I'm really excited about having you on the show because you really are a very big personality in Las Vegas. And you've also been here. You stuck it out many years, and you since 1974 you've been here. Well, you must have been knee-high to a grasshopper.
I was knee-high to a grasshopper. I was born and raised in New York City, and Dad had a business opportunity in 1974. Even though I'd been here 2 years the previous 2 years as a tourist, we ended up moving here, and it's been home 40 years.
40 years, so now I know how old you are. Don't guess it now.
You know at least how old I am.
At least how old you are. 40. Well, I'm 39 and holding, so we're going to call you 40 and holding.
Holding, yeah, very much holding.
So, yeah, let's go back a little bit into your past and what you came to Vegas, and you obviously in the 74 is very different to what it is now. It's completely different. I mean, then it was a very, I don't want to say high class, it was just different. I mean, people dressed different. You had the lounge shows. You had so much more different entertainment. And how did you get evolved into doing the entertainment and getting out there? Not exactly performing, as we're going to find out in a little while, but why did you get into it, and how did you get into it?
Yeah, actually, even at that point in my life, I was just a young boy. One was growing up in New York, growing up childhood in New York City. I wanted to be a baseball player, like pretty much every New York City kid wants to be, and then. I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to be a performer. And I learned how to play guitar. I did it. Took lessons for about 1.5 years, and did the rest all by myself. And I already knew at a very young age that I was going to be an entertainer.
It's funny how this seems to happen when I interview a lot of entertainers. It seems to be the same thing. It seems to be something that happens very, very young about entertainers. I mean, you don't have this happening to people that are CEOs or become in charge of big businesses or even own businesses at like 3 and 5 years old. But in the music world, they all seem to have this sort of thing that's born within them, and this is what I'm going to be and what I'm going to do. And you're another one of them.
I'm another one of them.
Yeah. Another one of the young ones coming in. How old were you when you had your first guitar?
When I had my first guitar, I was about 13 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
And did you learn to play it, or did you just do it by memory, or how did you get involved in that?
First I had guitar class in school, and I was picking up on it, and then I decided one of my childhood friends suggested a teacher, and I took lessons for 1.5 years. I did, and then after 1.5 years, I felt, okay, I've got this, and then the rest I picked up on myself.
That was one. Now, while you are playing the guitar, are you singing?
That's what it was. I found out that my ambition or my desire to learn the guitar was basically not because I wanted to be a great guitar player. It was because I wanted a source to back myself up to sing.
Oh, so you use that as kind of, your thing to start yourself going, and it sort of worked hand in hand, no pun intended, but it worked hand in hand that you could play. You didn't need a big orchestra. You didn't need anything. You just needed you and the guitar.
I was a shy kid, and like most shy kids who learn how to play guitar, you fantasize you're gonna learn the guitar, and you're gonna be like in an Elvis Presley movie where you go up to the girl and you sing her a beautiful corny love song, right? And she goes, oh my God, and that was that's what I was thinking at the time. Yeah.
And they get in love with you, and now you got yourself a girlfriend. Now I know. Now the guys out there know how to get a girlfriend. They're going to go and buy guitars out there.
Guys, it works.
Guys, it works. It sure does. Wow. But who was your inspiration? Because around that time, you had the Beatles, you had Elvis Presley, you had all these. You had this very new arena coming into the arena. I mean, people like Elvis Presley hadn't been around before. We kind of had the crooners, we had the Benny Goodmans, we had all this kind of up on stage singing, and then all of a sudden the Beatles come along with, at that time, their wild music, which was not wild at all because they were all dressed in suits and looked great. Elvis Presley was a little wild.
Mm-hmm.
That was your inspiration?
Very funny that you mentioned those two, because the truth is, my first musical idol were the Beatles. I have to say, they were the ones I first saw and said, "Oh my God!" They inspired me to be a musician. Elvis took when I saw Elvis for the first time. And I saw Elvis a total of 23 times. Okay, 5 in New York as a kid and 18 times here in Vegas. When I saw him, he kind of took over for me. The Beatles in the early, I'm a 70s child. I mean, as far as my musical taste from the late 60s, early 70s, the Beatles were already breaking up and they were getting psychedelic, which really wasn't my thing. And Elvis was coming back, and I thought this was the coolest guy I've ever seen in my life, and the voice was like to die for, because he could sing anything and sing it well. And so he became my all-time
idol.
All-time musical idol and so forth. And then came Neil. And then those are my three.
Those are your three. And now we're going to let our audience know, I guess, right away that you are actually you give tribute to Neil Diamond, and you obviously look like him. I don't know how many people that are watching that have actually heard you sing and play, and how you are, because you are just amazing. Why did you sort of gravitate to Neil Diamond? Because Neil Diamond was not really like the Beatles at all, and was not like Elvis.
Well, I'm gonna give you a little bit of an argument. He wasn't like the Beatles, of course, because he's one guy, but he was a songwriter. So, and as a matter of fact, to Neil Diamond, to me, is a little bit of Beatles. I mean, I would say a little bit of John Lennon, definitely a little bit of Elvis Presley, and a hint of Sinatra. But if you take those three, because remember, the Beatles were songwriters.
Yes.
Neil Diamond, of course, is a very prolific songwriter. He was more of whereas the Beatles were more artistic, Neil was more of a storyteller. Elvis, they call Neil Diamond, one of his subtitles is the Jewish Elvis. So definitely the flamboyancy, the costumes, the hand gestures, the self-righteous poses on stage, definitely a lot of Elvis and Neil Diamond. I don't think he copied, it just happens to be that way. And like Sinatra's comes a little bit of the crooning part. So
yeah, quieter. He's more of a sort of, didn't move too much, but at the same time, he didn't have to move too much. That was just how he was. That's how he sang. Occasionally an arm would come out or anything. And then sort of Elvis, and then Neil Diamond. And Neil Diamond was a very, what I can remember, was very romantic and a very sort of, lovable kind of, put you in that lovely mood after you've been dancing all night to the heavier music, and kind of got you into that lovely romantic feeling, and sort of he came over, and I think he is, I've never met him, I think he came over very, very sincere.
Yeah, very sincere. Like I said, the songs he writes, as opposed to the Beatles, or Neil Diamond writes songs every human being can relate to on a personal level. Because songs he writes are songs we can look at. Oh, he's writing about me, you know. And like I said, the Beatles were more artistic. Lennon and McCartney were more artistic, but Neil, who I think was just as good as a writer, but he was a different kind of writer. He wrote a little bit more, like I said, things we can all relate. The average human being can relate to.
Relate to and understand and feel part of it. And I think that's what he did. He kind of came over and he made you feel part, like you were in the song. Like you were there in it.
Perfect. You couldn't have said it more perfect. That's exactly how he wrote them. Because he writes a song and everybody goes, oh, that song's about me. That song is about me. You know, and I wrote about hopes and dreams and love, lots of love, and breakups and so forth. So we can all, every human being pretty much can, you know,
now, on meeting you, and not knowing who you were, I had no idea, you actually bring over the same thing. I mean, your face lights up. You sort of come into someone's life very, very easily with that radiant smile, but a sincere smile. And you have that same sort of feeling as he has. Have you worked it that way, or are you kind of naturally that way?
I think the answer to that is a little bit of both. I mean, I certainly, I'm going on almost 20 years of doing the Neil Diamond thing. So there's no way of doing it for that long where you don't inherit a little bit of your character's personality. It's no different, you know, than some actor in a movie portraying.
Yeah.
They take over the persona, the whole persona of the person they're portraying. In my case, it's not. I've been doing this movie for almost 20 years now. So, right, so yeah, there's a lot of similarities between me and my character, who happens to be Neil Diamond, and we're both shy Jewish boys nice Jewish boys from New York City. We're both more.
Wait, let's back up a little bit. You shy?
If you don't know me, and like when we first met, you didn't think when we first met I was kind of quiet to you? And I don't mean standoffish, but quiet.
No, you were quiet, but you were so courteous, and I kind of like. So I'm probably, because of how I am, I kind of like that. You weren't sort of over, like, and you were. So that's what I kind of like. So I didn't find you shy at all. I found you as a complete gentleman.
Yeah. Okay, I'll take that.
Taking a rubber up and hold it. Now you did. When did you start doing your first? When did you do your first Neil Diamond tribute? And how did you feel doing it? Actually on stage in front of everybody for the very first time. You're out there. You are now Neil Diamond.
Well, very, very strange. Because I should back up a little bit. I had my own band in Vegas, a local band for 15 years called Rock and Roll Heaven, and we were a pretty popular local band. And we started in like any other band in bars and went to the clubs and migrated to the lounges, and even every now and then maybe a showroom. So in that band for 15 years, because Neil Diamond was one of the three main musical idols, as we discussed, I did a lot of his numbers. And when I would do a lot of his songs, I would do my best to make it sound like Neil Diamond, because I was pretty secure that to a certain extent I could sound like it, maybe more so than some of the other characters that I did, or the other artists I did songs by. So I used to hear on a continuous basis, oh my God, when you sing Neil Diamond songs, you sound just like Neil Diamond, you know. And I heard that for years, and they said, you should be in Legends in Concert. Now, for our listening audience or viewing audience, you know Legends in Concert is a pretty popular production show that's been in Vegas and also around the country, but it's been in Vegas since '83. And it's a production show built around celebrity impersonators.
Well, that's John Stewart, and that was Paul Revere, right? John Stewart and Paul Revere that actually came up to you and wanted you to do the Neil Diamond tribute, right?
John Stewart was the producer at that time, and Paul Revere of the famous Raiders ran. He was the director of the show in Hawaii, not the one here in Vegas, the one in Hawaii. And I tried to get in the one here because I lived here, and John Stewart kind of, at that particular time, didn't really give me the time of day. You know, Johnny, see that? See what happened? But so I went, I had a friend who was doing Elvis in the Hawaii show, and I went to him, and I said, hey, do they need anyone? I'm trying to do Neil Diamond. And he goes, I didn't know you did Neil Diamond. And I go, well, neither did I.
But everybody's telling me I'm great at it.
he said, well, make a video and send it to us. So I made a video, and I invested, you know, a few bucks, and I made a video, and I sent it to them. And he came back to me, and he said, I showed it to Paul Revere, who was our director, and he said they liked it, but right now they're not ready to hire because we're making some changes and with the band and so forth and personnel. I said, okay, all right. And I thought I was getting brushed off. But 9 months later, I got the phone rang, and it was Paul Revere. And he called me up, and he said, hey, Rob, Paul Revere from Hawaii, and we saw your video. We weren't ready to hire at that time, but we're looking to add a new act to the show right now. I'm coming to Vegas to do a show with the Raiders, and I would like to audition you one-on-one and see how it goes. And he did. He came here, and he auditioned me, just me with backup tracks, nobody else, in a nightclub. Me and my band were playing out in the afternoon. I'll never forget that. And he watched me, shaking his head like that, do Neil Diamond, and I bought the costume. And at the time, my hair was much longer. It's all real now, but at the time, I didn't have a Neil Diamond hairstyle, so I bought a wig, you know, and I filled in the eyebrows, and I did what I knew to do, you know, what I needed to do. And he watched me, and he goes,
let's back up a little bit. How excited were you when you first got that call from him? Because this is a call that many people kind of wait for, and they, you know, and this is 9 months later, so you're probably thinking to yourself, they're not really interested, and blah, 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 and but I'm still going to continue doing what I'm doing. And you get that call, and it's that, because I know what these calls are like, because I've had them myself, and it's like, wow, they want me?
That's exactly. I was very excited. I mean, I was nervous, excited, all this energy, and I said, oh, he's going to audition me, you know, and if he likes me, but the prize was I get to go to Hawaii. You know, that was the prize.
You're probably more interested in Hawaii than doing the act.
It wasn't a bad, you know, if I couldn't work here in my hometown at the time, it wasn't a bad place to go to. You know? It wasn't a bad place to go to, and it was happening at a time in my life where, you know, I haven't had a lot of bad years that I said it would, but that particular year I was getting divorced. My mom was sick, and my lead guitar player just passed away in my band, so I needed a change, and I had to.
Bad luck.
It wasn't a good year, 94, and I was ready for a change. I had the band for 15 years. I wasn't getting as much work. Things were slowing down with the band as it does with every, you know, band. That's not.
They go through their cycles, don't they? Bands go through cycles, if I remember.
And I needed to make a change, and this was something I wanted to do. I made my mind up. I'm going to go the impersonator route. You know, a lot of my friends were in Legends, and they were making good money, and I'm going. I'm in a band, and I'm working 4 or 5 hours a night, and we're making, you know, crap money, and these guys are singing in Legends 20 minutes a night, you know, maybe twice a night, and they're making much better money than me. I'm at the wrong end of this business. So, and I know I went off, you know, kind of went off the path, but when he called me, it's like an actor getting a call and saying, you got the part, or we're going to.
No. That's what I said when I said I know what it's like, because I've had that. When they call you up and say, Nina, you got the part, you're like, you're just like,
we're going to audition you for the part. And so I was very excited, and I went there this afternoon. I did the audition in front of him, one-on-one, and he looked at me and he goes, you know, I'll never forget this, Nina. And he goes, this is Paul Revere. He goes, what you just did is not easy. Because there's no audience. It's just me and him, and he's sitting in a chair watching me sing Neil Diamond, you know, to tracks, to backup.
Nothing to encourage you, nothing to urge you on, no people, no nothing.
I had friends there just for moral support, but pretty much half a dozen people in the room, and he goes, and he says, you want to come to Hawaii for a few months? And I go, oh my God, you know, I was, yes, I go, yes. I was supposed to be, and now that was supposed to be for 3 months. I ended up staying there for 3 years.
How wonderful. I'm surprised I didn't see you, which I probably did see you, because I used to go back and forth to Hawaii all the time. My husband and I own property there, so we used to be there all the time. Where did you play in Hawaii?
In Waikiki, at the Royal Hawaiian Shopping Center, the 4th floor, is a big showroom, beautiful showroom.
Beautiful showroom. I know exactly where it is. I've been in there. That's probably where I've seen you, probably. But you were younger then.
All were. 95 to 98 is when I did that.
Yeah, how beautiful. So from that, and you obviously had some beautiful years there, but at that time you were also gone through a divorce you had mentioned, so that was in '94. So you were kind of fancy-free and young and out there and in Hawaii.
I'm telling you, it was like the Lord shined a bright light on me and said, you had a rough year, we're gonna turn this around a little bit, because, like I said, going into 94 was a rough year for me, many different ways, and it was the only rough year in memory I can ever even remember. But then this came, and I got to start it was like getting to start a whole new life in paradise.
In paradise, and really in paradise, because that truly is. So you count a lot of that experience you had there, and then you brought that back to Vegas.
I brought it back to Vegas, and I stayed 3 years in Hawaii in the show, and then I said, I had a daughter, a little girl, and I said, it's time to go back. I miss Hawaii is great, I did it for 3 years, and I was ready to move back to Vegas, which was my home, and I came back and thinking that it's going to be all peaches and cream and everything, and basically I had to come back and start all over again, because now all these people that I knew in Vegas didn't know me as being Neil Diamond. They knew me as being the guy from the band.
Well, so that's your own band, what was it, Rock and Roll Haven or something?
Heaven, yeah.
Yeah. So that was quite a big band. So did you actually put that band together yourself?
I did. Right from
kind of the lead.
Yeah.
How hard is that? I mean, I know how hard it is. Everybody's looking for bands now, good ones. But how hard was that at that time, or whether did you have a choice? Because I understand there's so many musicians and people come to Vegas looking for work, looking for jobs. So you kind of have a great pick of who you need and who you want, and you can really get some pretty good ones.
Well, you know what? I don't think putting the band together is hard, because I think a lot of young musicians do it every day, and they just get their neighborhood guys, or they meet other musicians, and they put a band together. That's not the hard part. The hard part is getting work. Turning it into a living. So, when I moved here, after a year or two, I met other guys, other musicians. We made friends. Hey, let's start a band. You have your garage band, and you try something, and this doesn't work. Maybe one guy leaves, another guy comes in, and you try something. Then, you wait for that phone call, and you wait for someone to give you your first job, and that's what happened with us. And we built up a repertoire. It's a cover band. Obviously, it's Vegas, and we started working in dinky bars, and little dive bars like everybody else. And then you build up, and that's what we did for 15 years.
At that time, Vegas wasn't as big as it is now. Vegas was pretty small then. In the 70s and going all the way up into the 90s, it started to expand and get bigger. But what they did away with the lounge bars. So you didn't now have the lounge bars where so many of you would play in, and we would just go there and have drinks and have a wonderful. Louis Prima was one of them. Wow. Absolutely.
Well, here's the thing. People say that all the time, like the loungers are gone. There are still lounges here in Vegas with bands in them, in casinos. Back then, certainly more opportunity. It was a smaller town. It was a growing town, but definitely more opportunity, but not as many casinos either. So it balances itself out, right? There was more opportunity, but there weren't as many casinos, and there are casinos. A lot of them have done away with the lounges, but we still have a certain amount of them that do have lounges with bands in them, and clubs.
So what is the difference have you seen in Vegas since when you first sort of got here, or even 5 years after that, how it is now? I mean, because now you are popular, you are, I would say, well known. So how is it for you now? And there's a lot more casinos.
Yeah. Any longtime local will tell you they liked it better. I grew up in the 70s and 80s here. I don't believe you will ever talk to a longtime local in Vegas that won't tell you they wish things were like the 70s and 80s. They'll even tell you, how many times have you heard, God, I wish the mob still ran this town, because it's become very
political. I thought they still did.
the corporations came in. Now it's a big city. We're 2 million people. You know, we weren't anything like that back then. So the corporations came in, and now, you know, we're like a number. And it no more on the personal level, no more with the pit bosses coming up to you and going, you know, to the band guys and say, hey, here's some comps, go enjoy yourself, go have a buffet on me, you know, go see, you know, Sammy Davis on me. It's changed a lot. But I can't.
You don't have any of that now.
Very little, very little. You know, I think you have to be in a kind of celebrity status to get that now. You know, back then you know, you made friends with the pit boss, or you know, or the floor man, you know, or a host, and they would say, hey, I like you guys. Here's some comps. Go enjoy a meal. You don't see too much of that anymore. Now I'm not supposed to complain too much about Vegas, because I have my complaints, but this town has been good to me for the most part. You know,
it's been pretty good to you, but then you've been pretty good to it too, because you've been very consistent.
Right.
You're a very consistent person, and when you're consistent, a lot of people in this industry and the movie industry and the film industry, they like to rely on somebody, and you're kind of one of these people that they can rely on, and they know you can put on a great show.
Yeah, well, I hope that's what it is, and plus, you know, has a little to do with the local boy doing good, you know, thesis. You know, long time local boy doing good, because as you know, I'm about to start my first ever strip residency. You know,
we're going to talk about that. We're not going to casually say it like that. We're going to say you've got a big thing coming up, and I want to know exactly what this is. I want to know, how did you go? Because this is like the same call that you had to go to Hawaii, and now you came back, reestablished yourself, and now you've got a new call, and the new call is starting. When I think it's starting next week. Again, how excited were you when you got
a week from today, Ninon?
A week from today. Well, we're going to find out. Okay, a week from today, you're going to have your show, or you're going to explain to me what you're going to have. All right, you've got the floor. Where is it a week from today?
First of all, I have been lucky the last few years, because even though I haven't been working in any one place on a consistent basis, meaning consecutive days in a row, I've been working in some pretty big rooms. So I've worked. I got an opportunity about 5-6 years ago by Kathy Spiar, the Cannery, and that's the call you're waiting for. And I wanted to get in a big room, and she relented after me bugging her for a while, and she put me in the room, which is a 6-seat theater, and we packed it out, and that snowballed into other casinos, the South Point and the Stations, and all, you know, nice sized rooms.
Those are pretty big rooms. South Point, all these rooms are pretty big, you're mentioning.
And then a few months ago, we did our biggest crowd. We did the Dallas Event Center at the Texas Station, and we drew our biggest crowd, which was over 2,000. And we did a concert, and we were nervous. We didn't know what to expect when we got booked by Judy Alberti into the Texas Station in that big room, and we go, okay, this is the biggest room we've ever played, and we sold it out with over 2,000. So things were going good for me, and of course the ultimate goal now. Okay, I'm filling up all these rooms.
Well, I've got a whole list of rooms here. I've got the Biltmore in Lake Tahoe. I've got the casino in North Bend. I've got a casino in Phoenix. I've got the Greektown Theater in Detroit. I've got the stadium. I've got Berlin, Germany here. I've got the Windmere. I've got Summerlin. There are so many places here that you have played in. I did my homework.
Yes, you did.
I did my homework.
You're talking of 19 years of rooms, though. You know, of different rooms all over the world.
But that's still amazing. I mean, there's a lot of people that have been in the business 20 years, 30 years, and never even heard of or been into any of these places. You have actually fulfilled and you've done your work well. Yeah,
well, I mean, I'm a hard worker. There's a certain amount of luck being in the right place at the right time. I mean, look, people are telling me, in the last few weeks, look, like things have really taken off for you. I go, yeah, they're talking to me like it's an overnight thing. I said, it's only taken, over 30 years of doing this, so it's not. It's been a building process.
Well, that's life, though, isn't it? Isn't life a building process? It's when you give up, you don't go any further.
No, absolutely.
But you have to have within your mind, you know, you have that you're going to make it, you're going to do it. I'm going to be doing a red carpet thing tomorrow night. I'm interviewing some people down at the Grand Hotel, and I hope you can come along. It's the comedy. They're doing it from 7. It starts at 7, so if you can come down, I'd love to interview you. I'm doing a red carpet at the Grand for the Comedy Store down there. So it's a new thing that Paul Scally is doing, and it's very big. Everyone's going to be down there, and I'd love to see you there.
Rosanna, you know, my other half, she went to the opening last week.
I was there last week too, yeah. But now this week they want me to do the interviewing for them. So I said, okay, fine. You know, well, that's what I do. You know, as you can tell, I interview people, and I've been doing this for years, and I love it. But unless you're out there and you're doing it, then nobody's going to know you're out there. So you work it all the time.
Yeah. Well, like I said, now I will be. I mean, I was bouncing one. Here's the thing. 1 month I might work 2 times a month. Another month I might work 8 times a month. But the ultimate goal for any Vegas performer, and probably any performer, is to get in a nice room and work on a weekly basis.
Yes.
And that's what's starting next week.
So let's get back to what's going on next week. We went off we went off track a little bit, but that's okay. That's what entertainers do. It's hard for us to stay on track. So next week you start out. And what hotel are you starting out in?
I'm starting at the Westgate, which you know as the former Las Vegas Hilton.
Yep, big hotel. Elvis Presley's home.
The same place I saw him 18 times.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, it's a fabulous hotel. I know the hotel very, very well. I know the Hilton family, so that's how I know the hotel. But
everything comes around, and everything runs full circle. And of all the places for me to get a residency at, considering that when I was a little kid, I used to, I couldn't go into the casino, but my mom would take me to go see him, and I used to hang out in the lobby, and I saw him 18 times there. And for me to now to have my own, to have my own show in that same building is, it's pretty special.
So you're preparing for this. How are you preparing for this? Are you working every day? Are you practicing? How are you putting this together? And how long will you be actually on stage?
Not that long, but believe it or not, it's a piece of cake. I hate to say that it's a piece of cake show, because 70 minutes is the show, hour and 10 minutes, 5 nights a week. We go into rehearsals. We do have a big rehearsal on Monday, yeah. But it's going to be a complete different lifestyle change, because now it's been a long time since I've worked 5 nights in a row, 1 week after another. So yeah. I'm going to have to learn how to pace myself. I don't know how to do that, on stage.
You'll learn.
I don't think you've seen the show yet, but it's a high. I do Neil Diamond at a point when he was probably his most energetic, and like I said, I don't know if you've seen him, but back in his day, he was a very animated, energetic performer. Yes. And very charismatic, lots of energy the guy had, and that's the Neil Diamond I remember. Not that he's not still great, because of course he is, but so I have to learn how to pace myself and not overdo it in that 70 minutes, because I have to go back the next day and do it again, and then the next day and do it again.
But after a couple of days, and after kind of a few days, you're going to get into the trend of it, and then you're going to pace yourself, and then you'll understand it, and obviously you won't be nervous, but you don't look like you're a nervous type of person. But I did see you perform. I saw you perform down at the Smith Center. Right.
You saw me do two songs, right?
Yeah, you did 2 songs down there. You did 2 songs with Ashton. Ashton is, she's a friend of mine, and she's had you then. I was so surprised to see you there at the show, and I was just amazed, because you are good.
She actually asked me to do that without even knowing that much about me, I know you guys saw me at the El Cortez when I attended Peter Pavone's lounge show.
Yeah.
But she asked me to do that that particular night. She asked me if I would be interested in doing that, and just from that little bit she saw of me at Peter's and at the El Cortez during Peter's show.
Yes, because that's where I think that's where I met you. I've met you before, but I saw you and I introduced you to her. And she actually, and then she got you onto that show, and I thought, wow, this is amazing. Now you're doing I'm totally the Hilton, but it's not the Hilton anymore. It's the Westgate. But this is something. the people like you dream of. I mean, they just dream for something like this, to play in one of the big hotels in Vegas, because this is what you all work up to be, and this is what you work to do, and this is what you put so many hours into it. And then somebody comes along and recognizes you of your talents. I mean, this has got to be, you know, like all the work, and you turn around and say, wow, it was worth it.
Yeah. Ask me a month from now, but that's what I'm hoping I'll say.
That's funny. No, I know you. A month from now, you're going to love it. You're going to absolutely love it.
I'm very, like I said, I'm very excited. There's a lot of nervous energy in me right now. Excited, nervous, anxious. My plate, up until a week from now, this coming week, my plate is like, I'm overwhelmed.
I think that's absolutely wonderful. You know, I'd like to talk a little bit out there about the younger generation, because I had a show for many years for the younger generation, helping them, giving them a platform to speak out, and I've always had my heart with the younger generation. And in the music business, I know it's very tough, however old you are, but also, you know, how can the young people, especially in this town, how can they sort of enhance what they're doing, or to get some lessons from you, because you've been successful, so therefore you can give them a little bit of, you know, how to get there for the young people, or anybody.
The only advice I can give to the younger generation starting out in this business is that if you are not completely engulfed in sleeping, breathing, living, being a musician or performer, because I completely engulfed myself into, drowned myself in it at a very young age. You know, girls became, you know, dating became secondary. I was sure that this was something I was going to do, and this took top priority. It has to take top priority, okay? The socializing has to take a, you know, backstage. You have to put it aside, and you have to want to do this more than anything else in the world.
For the breathing, you have to do this. I mean, you've wanted so badly and so much, but I think that kind of applies to anything, though, doesn't it? Does that not apply to anything you set your mind to?
But I'm going to say more so because this business is a cruel business, and there's a lot of heartbreak in this business, and not just music, in show business in general. You know, here's the thing that I was just saying. You have to engulf yourself in this, and you have to live, breathe, sleep, wanting to be an entertainer or an actor or whatever, and then if you do that, you might have a 25% chance. You know, or, right? You might have a little chance. You see what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying. You still don't have 100%. You don't have 50%. You still have like a minority chance of getting there, because there are so many people that want to sort of get into it.
Right, and the person that's listened to me just said, I don't care if I have a 25% chance, or I don't care if I have a 10% chance. This is what I'm still doing. That's the person that might make it. There are different levels of making it. You know, obviously, I'm an impersonator, so I'm portraying a real icon. You know, I'm not the icon, but at this stage of my life, I'll take it. You know, I'm okay with being a tribute artist.
But I don't think there's anything. I think it's absolutely beautiful, because you're taking on somebody else's persona and somebody else's voice and somebody else's everything.
Right.
And
not as money, except as money.
Still around. I mean, Neil Diamond's still, you know, so he's going to criticize you. I mean, he might not, but also he's going to turn around and say, wow, he said, you know, that Bob Garrett, he's really, really got me.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping you'll say. That's what I'm hoping you'll say.
Did you ever have any contact with him?
No, you know, I have to tell you this, because we talked about, you know, mentioned that I'm shy, and you said I'm not, like, once I get to know someone, I'm not shy, but if I don't, I am shy, and I'm not an aggressive person. So I'm not aggressive in meeting Neil. I want to meet him, but I'm not overly aggressive. I'm not someone that's gonna. I've seen him 15 times. He's a very private man. I know that. He was, you know, I have to respect his privacy. He's a quiet guy, so he's not someone I'm going to look out in my audience one day and see him out there. He's not he's iconic. He's not a very accessible star. There are a lot more stars that are more accessible than Neil Diamond. That's why when he's not performing, think about it, you really don't know what's going on with him. Yeah, right. He's very low key.
You never see, that's funny you should say that, because you never see him in any newspapers or magazines or stories about him or things about him. That's very true. He keeps his life very, very, very private. But you do too.
Yeah. I don't know if it's private as him, but but you'll start to see more things of him now on TV, because he's got a new album, original album coming out next month, and then next year will be a tour. So now you're going to start seeing him. His thing is to lay low for about 3 or 4 years. Then he'll do a new album. Then he'll do a tour, and he'll be all over the place. And then he'll lay low for 3, and he keeps doing that. He's 73 years old, so we don't know how many tours he has left in him.
Well, when he does these tours, does that enhance what you're doing? Because now people see him now performing, and then they see you performing. So we've now got 2 Neil Diamonds out there.
It is 2 Neil Diamonds, because again, I'm doing him. I think the only advantage I may have over the real one, and I say this half as a joke, is that the Neil Diamond I'm doing, he can't do anymore.
Well, that's for sure. We are a little younger. You got a few years on him.
I perform as, I can't be him. That's for damn sure. But the Neil Diamond I'm performing as, he can't be anymore either.
No, he can't be you. So you've got this thing going on. But I think it would be wonderful that you could meet him, and that you could have that lovely connection, and just to see how he feels about you performing him. That's like at the top of the bucket list, is to finally meet face. He's fully aware of me. He knows all about me. I'm looking at. What's good.
That?
I said that's good that he knows all about you.
Yeah, he knows all about me. But the original question was, have we met face to face or spoken? We haven't, and that's something obviously that I would like very much to do. I don't want to be someone like. I don't want him to think I'm a groupie or a stalker, and I'm not. He's put my kid through college. So I would love to meet him one day, and I think it's probably inevitable that we will.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Now we're going to go back to what has been one of your most embarrassing moments on stage that you've sort of think, oh my goodness, what did I just do?
Embarrassing moments, other than the fly being, the traditional fly being open every once in a while, right?
Oh, you mean that really does happen?
I think it happens at least once to every entertainer. Every entertainer.
Every man entertainer.
You're going to go out there once, and trip maybe once, even though I don't think I've ever tripped and fallen down. But that. Other than the fly being open, which only happened once, by the way, I think the most embarrassing moment.
That would be rather embarrassing, though, with your fly coming open, and you come on stage, and everybody's looking, and you realize it's open, and you think, uh-oh.
Someone in the front audience is going
trying to tell you without yelling it out.
Okay. The other embarrassing moment, or I want to say awkward moment, it was when I was doing Legends in Concert, and I opened the show, and so I would walk on, and there'd be music playing, announcements about the show, and I'd walk on to a completely dark stage with my back to the audience, yes. and then they'd start playing the intro music for Cherry Cherry, and I would spin around and start singing with my guitar. And I spun around, and then I would spin around, and the spotlight would hit me as soon as I spun around, and then I'd start singing, and there was no mic stand and no mic. The stagehand had forgotten to put it up there. So
that wasn't really your fault, but it was like an embarrassing moment. So how do you handle something like that? You kind of laugh it off and say, yeah, all right, you want me to sing without a microphone, or
You laugh it off because you know in a case like that, the audience is laughing too, and they know it's. You know what? I don't think as far as an embarrassing moment on my own, I haven't had thank goodness, a huge embarrassing moment. Awkward moments like that, but I can't even recall anything very, very, very.
That's amazing, because that's pretty. I mean, we all make mistakes. Everybody does. But then, that's because you're so together and you're so thinking of how it's all going to work, and you're very sort of, very organized.
Yeah, I certainly have made mistakes, but I covered it up to the point where the audience didn't know I was making a mistake. So where only I knew I was making a mistake,
It's funny, I teach that to a lot of people. I say, you know, you're the only one that knows you're making the mistake. They don't know what your dialogue is. They don't know what you have to do, so you really don't have to worry about it because they don't even know.
Right, and
I mean,
the best thing you
can
do
have to know to continue.
And not ever let on that you made a mistake, because in most cases they're not going to know.
No, absolutely right. Absolutely true. So anyway, so we've got this Wednesday coming up. You're all excited and you're all ready to go. What sort of songs are you going to pick out? You're going to pick out some of his, because you're doing this is like 70 minutes, you said. So you've got to fill this up. You're solo on stage for 70 minutes, right? Yeah,
I've got the list right here in front of me. I've got the show list right here.
You can't do anything a cappella, can you?
You mean right now?
Yeah. Well, you vanished.
I think I can do a little bit better. I actually have an acoustic guitar directly in back of me.
We're going to get a little bit of, wow.
Yeah, I can do it.
See?
See, I really do play.
You really do.
Where it began, I can't begin to know it, but then I know it's growing strong. Was in the spring, and spring came the summer. Would have believed it come along. Touching hands, reaching out, touching me, touching you, sweet Caroline. Good time never seems so good. I've been inclined to believe they never would. Oh, no, no, no.
That's amazing. I mean, your voice, first of all, thank you so much for doing that with no notice, because as you know, Rob, I do not pre-interview any of my guests. I never have. I've been doing this for many, many years. I never pre-interview. I just want their bios and their websites, and that's it. So to ask you to do that is, and you just did it beautifully, and thank you so much, Rob.
It's my pleasure. I appreciate you asking me to be on your show.
Well, I just like your character. I like people that have got character. I also like people that are very, very sincere in what they do and how they do it, because, Carl Malden was a friend of mine, and his wife, Mona, has since passed away. But Carl Malden used to say to my husband and I, he said, I have a job just like you. And he's a famous movie actor. He said, I got a job just like you, and like anybody has a job. And we all have these different jobs and different places we're put into. But we always seem to want to put people like musicians and like movie stars, we kind of put them on a pedestal because they kind of, our relaxing time, they entertain us.
You know what? We all, that's a fact. And being an entertainer, I still don't understand that, because when entertainers get successful, they're rewarded heavily, right? And we know that, there's certainly a lot more. There are different people, more people that probably are deserving, teachers, doctors, military, that deserve more to be looked up to than entertainers. Entertainers, when they get successful, they get rewarded very well, very well.
Well, that's good too, but I think not only do they do it monetarily or money-wise, but I also think of recognizing who they are and their talents. I think it's very hard. Hal Roach was a very good friend of mine, and I saw him in his latter days when nobody actually took any notice of him. He was Hal Roach, and he was old, and that was the end.
Yeah, I actually know who Hal Roach is. Isn't that amazing?
Well, good for you.
I was a big silent movie buff back in my kiddie days. I love silent movie.
Yeah. He was one of the originals of that. He did Our Gang, Little Rascals, and all these different people. But he was forgotten. He was forgotten. When he got older, he was forgotten, and nobody. And then my husband and I, because he was older, much older than us, but we sort of had this relationship. And we used to take him everywhere with us, and he was so excited that because he still had what he had, but he just wasn't wanted anymore in the industry. And that's very sad.
Unfortunately, the ones that are the only ones that are remembered for generations and generations are the ones that become icons. Charlie Chaplin would be remembered, but Hal Roach would not be remembered.
And Hal Roach made Charlie Chaplin.
We know that, but the general, the average person, they don't care about that. They see Charlie Chaplin in the movies. They don't know that Hal Roach was possibly.
You're right. Yeah. What about your daughter? Is your daughter in the business, or what is your daughter doing? Is she?
No, she's a very normal 23-year-old.
Very normal. Why, you not normal?
I don't think any entertainer is normal, but she's a very, like I say, normal, average, very pretty 23-year-old young lady and works a regular job. I didn't stop her from being in this business, but I really didn't want her to be. And she saw her dad, struggling here and there and on the phone and, trying to pick up work and no benefits and no health card, and she said, and she got smart and she said, I don't want to do that, and I was like, thank you, God, thank you.
At the same time, if you tell her not to do it, she'll want to do it. You tell her to do it, and she won't want to do it. So you actually let her take her own path.
Right, exactly. If she would have, there were times I was trying to get her to play an instrument, like piano or guitar, and she said she was going to, and she didn't have the discipline, right? And you have to, even if you can see right away at a young kid, you can see right away if they have the discipline to be a musician, because it takes. It takes discipline, it takes studying, it takes putting other things to the side, being a normal teenager. She wasn't ready for that, so she wanted to be.
And also you happen to know, because you started very young, as you said, 12 years old, you got your guitar, and you started, doing it yourself. You put a lot of hours into where you are now. Very
much so. A lot of hours, yeah.
But it's paid off, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, so far.
Forget the financial side,
Internal, absolutely, it's paid off. It's paid off, yeah.
So, what do all the ones that would like to be where you are? What should they do?
You said the older crowd. Now we're talking about the older generation.
Because you're kind of, you're not in the 20s. You're in an older generation place, and you're out there. You're doing it. You just got.
I'm definitely part of the older generation. What should they do? I mean, the thing is, you just don't give up. You can't give up. Even if you think about giving up, if you're thinking about giving up, then you should give up. Okay? Because someone that really wants to do it will never think about giving up. Never, ever. And like I said, even if you think that way and you set your mind, I'm not going to give up, there's still the odds are still, that's how much you want to do it, and the odds are still really big that you're going to, there are different levels of making it, but making it to me is not necessarily being a star. It's making being able to pay your bills and make a living without having to live paycheck to paycheck.
And so you've been able to do that?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. There have been years that I've struggled, but in the last 3 years I've been able to do that.
So you've been recognized in this town?
Yeah.
Is this a tough town to get through? Is it a tough town to get yourself in and get known? Because it's very small. It's a very small town.
It's a lot tougher now than it was when I grew up here in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, we've said that before, that it was much, although they didn't have as many hotels and as many showrooms, it was easier to get into places.
It's still a big small town, or small big town.
Whichever way you want to look at it. Now, do you have any CDs out there, or anything out there that we can hear?
I have them. I only sell. I sell them at the show, along with T-shirts and pictures. Like when I'm doing the merchandise at the end of the Westgate shows, we'll be selling them there. But I do have them, and I'll give you next time I see you. I'll give you money.
I'm coming to your opening. I'm going to be there. You better get me a couple of tickets. I'm going to bring Ashton with me.
Okay. Are you You can come to the opening. I'd like you there for the press night as well, which will be like a week later. So,
I will be there for both of them for you.
Okay.
Maybe I'll be able to bring my cameraman down with us, and we can have some stuff going on.
That would be wonderful. So I'll give you a CD when I see you next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday, yes. I'm going to actually email you because I need a couple of tickets to get in, and bring Ashton because Ashton would love to see you, I'm sure, to perform. But I want to see you so badly because I've only seen you the one time, and that was at Peter Pavan's place down at the El Cortez downtown. But,
no, tell me with Ashton's band.
Oh, and Ashton, yeah, I saw you sing twice. There you go, see?
And I knew most of the guys in that band, and they were very good because I'm always leery when someone puts me with a band that's not my own. But that band that night at Smith Center, they did a real good job, a very good job. But now you're gonna get to see me in my element.
With your element, I can't wait. I just cannot wait to do that. But also, what I want to ask you is when you were at the Smith Center, could you also put your own show on? Because Ashton put this show on that I thought was an amazing show for one lady to put this show on. She did an incredible job.
She did a great job, and I watched that whole show. I watched that entire show. Yeah, from the back.
It was amazing how she did it. But when part I liked best was when she sat down and played the piano and sang her own song, her own lyrics and her own song. I thought that was amazing. She's
an incredibly talented lady, which I didn't know. I really didn't know anything about Ashton. Sorry, Ashton. But she didn't know anything about me except that I look like Neil Diamond.
Well, neither did I. I didn't know anything about her. She happens to be a friend of mine. There's a friend of mine in my hometown in England. That's how I got to know her. He introduced us to her, or me to her, and then you got to meet her. But this is how this town goes. This is how this town works.
And that's exactly how this town works too. You meet one person, and through them you meet another, and you meet others, and so forth.
Yeah, so sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know.
That saying doesn't hold more water than it does right here in Vegas. Yeah.
It is. It's definitely who you know in this town, but also keeping a clean track and keeping a very, how you behave in this town, what you're doing. This is where the town becomes so small because everybody seems to know what you do, even if you don't know what you're doing. They all know what you're doing and they all know what you're up to. Okay, so let's give a shout out to how can people reach you? Okay,
they can reach me by obviously my website, which also my website will list my email as well, or Facebook. There's so many different ways to get to my website, but probably the easiest one is my name, Rob Garrett. So Rob Garrett as NeilDiamond.com.
Rob Garrett as NeilDiamond.com. So you're not there as the King of Diamonds. That's the King of Diamonds is just a poster out there of who you are. Okay.
On the playing card, yeah, on the playing card.
And they can reach you on Facebook at the same way?
Yeah. Facebook would be Rob Garrett, Neil Diamond. Rob Garrett, Neil Diamond, or Rob Garrett as Neil Diamond. Yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot of ways they can reach you. And if they want to make bookings for the show, they're starting next Wednesday at the Westgate. And what time is the show?
The show is at 8:30 Wednesday through Sunday, dark on Monday and Tuesday.
Oh, so you do have a rest. You have a kind of little break there.
They wanted me to go 6 days at first. I don't want to go 6 days. I would have taken 4 as opposed to 5. Yeah. But they would say, like, 5. Let's do 5. I go, okay. All right.
Yeah. I just think it's amazing that you're there and you're there. I mean, but I feel you definitely 100% deserve it. And on that, we have to close the show now. Rob Garrett, you are amazing. You are just wonderful, the King of Diamonds. I've had a wonderful interview with you. You are just so sincere, so beautiful. I'm just so honored to have you on my show. And I just think what you've done and what you've been through is an incredible success story on NinonSpeaks Media Image.
I love you, and you're a doll. Thank you.
Well, we're gonna see you next Wednesday, and then we're gonna see you at the press as well. So good luck, and I'll see you on Wednesday, and I'll also catch you on my other show. I have another show actually in Vegas where you come to the studio. So I'm gonna have you on that after you've done some performances to find out what's going on. Okay?
Okay, and I might even when you want me to come down to the Grand, you'll let me know about that as well.
I will absolutely 100%. Thank you to my audience out there for being with us, both of us, with Rob Garrett, Ninon de Rosa on Ninon Speaks Media Image. We will see you all next week. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.